Welcome everyone, my name is Airbad. I am a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends. In this video we're going to take a look at the hard Doom Tower Secret Room 12 in the Eternal Dragon rotation, rare magic champions only. And I'm going to show you the most accessible, easiest way I have found to beat it. However, it's not 100%, but I have not fully invested in the champions, and I think with further investment, we could make this even more consistent. The MVPs of this run are undoubtedly Greybeard and Executioner. However, my Executioner is currently only a 5-star without any masteries, so obviously getting him to 6-star with Fearsome Presence would make this much more consistent. I am using Fleshmonger for decreased defense, who I also used in Secret Room 9. I decided to invest in Fleshmonger instead of War Maiden for Secret Room 9 because I knew Secret Room 12 would require magic champions only, so it seemed like a better use of resources to pick a champion that I could use in 2 challenging secret rooms rather than just 1. Obviously Greybeard is providing an A1 provoke and an A2 freeze, with a stun set and Fearsome Presence to maximize our chances of landing these critical crowd control abilities. Diabolist, also in a stun set, is providing us with an AoE on the A2 and an increased speed, as well as a TM control on the A3, which will help us continue to cycle more quickly than the opposition, and will give us more opportunities to get those stun procs away. She does also have a low chance sleep on the A1, which does occasionally come in handy on this run, but it shouldn't be relied upon. Elhain is our 5th in this composition, also in a stun set, also with Fearsome Presence. Elhain has 2 AoE abilities, both her A2 and A3 are AoE, which is gives us a lot more opportunities for those stun procs. You could use many different champions in this 5th slot. I have done it also with Aethel in a Savage set. That does work, but it is a bit less consistent. It is a bit quicker, however, so there are pros and cons to different options. Other notable mentions, I would say, are Judge and Banshee. Banshee has a weak decreased defense on the A1 and an AoE ability on the A1, so a stun set would be very strong for this secret room. Judge has a short cooldown A2 AoE, and all of Judge's abilities have the opportunity via the passive to land 2 key debuffs, the big versions of Once Ascended, which is decreased speed and decreased defense. So a very strong champion to invest in for this secret room. I, however, already had Diabolist as a 50 from when I started the game. I may in the future look to develop Judge and see if I can get this room quicker and more consistent by swapping him in. Right, let's take a look at the run, and we'll come back to the builds after we have finished. Right, so we start this, decreased defense, no stuns, and total resist. What can you say? No stuns, 2 stuns. Just keep doing all of our AoE abilities with the hope to get everyone crowd controlled. We now have 4 out of 5 crowd controlled. Now we're managing to get everyone under the crowd control. We do the decreased defense again. Now they are all stunned. I could have held back my Diabolists A2 there, but I wanted to get increased speed on my champions to get us cycling faster. Likewise here, I want to get their TMs dropped to keep these stuns out for as long as I possibly can, to cycle back to all my AoEs by the time they break out of this CC. So just keep hitting people that have decreased defense on them. And then as each champion breaks out of crowd control, we'll focus on that particular champion, try and get some A1 crowd controls. Now that 3 are out, I think it's a good time to go for the AoEs again. Increase our speed again, drop defense again, and everyone's back to being crowd controlled. The risky part on this particular secret room, as with most of the rare secret rooms, is when we're transitioning between round 1 and round 2, and round 2 and round 3, where we will need to ensure that our skills are off cooldown for the next round, and we'll be towards the end cycling A1s and relying on stun procs on the A1s. Which is not entirely consistent. That said, we do have 5 champions in stun sets, 3 of which have fearsome presence. So we should have a reasonably high chance of landing the stuns on the A1s, given the time we have with the enemy going so slow, and we get so many attacks. And if we don't land the stun, we still have the provoke from Greybeard. You can see though, without decreased defense down, we are doing very little damage. Go for a TM drop there. Just to give us a little bit more time. Also, Tablis A3 won't be our opener on the next wave. So we have more time to cycle back to get it off cooldown. By the time we need to use it. So it's not the most exciting run. It's very much just a case of managing the enemy team, cycling through your AoE abilities, relying on good RNG, but trying to make the RNG work for you as much as possible. You can see with the lack of damage in this particular team is why I ended up using Aethelin Savage as the 5th champion. Slightly worse RNG in terms of controlling the enemy. Might take a couple more attempts than this one, but it is considerably quicker. And I would argue that this is quite painful. Now that 4 champions are out of CC, we'll go for the A2, maximize our chances to get everyone back into crowd control. And by cycling round, we have it again. Reapply decreased defense, re-increase our speed. Try and get decreased speed away. Get our nuke off. Just keep cycling our abilities. Whilst we're using all of our abilities we have, after the first cycle of abilities once we instance in, it's pretty easy to keep the enemy crowd controlled. As I said, the real risk is when we need to hold back our abilities, transitioning between wave 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. Because here we have so many AoE abilities with which to hit the enemy with our stun procs. But once we're in this rotation and we're able to cycle the abilities, increasing our speed, decreasing their speed, A1s across the board, the provoke on Greybeard, multiple AoEs, multiple TM drops. We have a lot of control in this team. That said, we still have 2 champions currently that are not in CC. Despite all the RNG we have created for ourselves, you still find yourself every now and then getting a bit nervous about whether we will land the control we need. Now that we're down to 2 champions, we'll be looking to hold back our abilities in time for the next wave. So that when we zone in, we'll have all of our abilities off cooldown, and we'll have a good chance to CC everyone and if we manage to control this first cycle of the 3rd wave, which we now have, we should be in a very good position to see this out. We don't need to hold back any abilities. We don't need to worry about zoning into the next round, maintaining our abilities off cooldown. We can use them all when they're available and just keep cycling all the abilities that we have available to us, all the AoEs, and keep landing those stuns. And that's the key here. We have so many control abilities that the chances of us keeping all 5 champions controlled once we've got the ascendancy, once we've got some of those decreased speeds out, once we're cycling faster with increased speed, we're in a very strong position to control the fight. That was on the provoke there with Greybeard. We didn't land a stun, but we already had the provoke away, which is effectively our backup. It's the one form of redundancy we have in this composition, is that A1 provoke from Greybeard, which is why he's just so extremely important. We just keep rotating the abilities. Until the last enemy is dead. which won't be long now. But this team does not have much damage. As you can see, this has been an 11-minute fight on manual. Not the most fun to do. It's actually the third time I've cleared it this cycle. Obviously the first time I did it when it was open. The second time was yesterday when I recorded a video, but I had an issue with the audio, so I had to do it again the third time this morning. And that is another 10 minutes of my life I'll never get back. The woes of a content creator. So now if we look through our builds, Fleshmonger's in the same build that I showed in Secret Room 9. Again, the gear is not amazing. There's plenty of room for improvement, plenty of gear that I could still roll up. It's only in fact in level 8 gloves, so there's a lot of opportunity here to improve the gear. If we look at the total stats, all I've really looked for here on Fleshmonger is good speed, quite high. I want him to be the fastest in this composition, so anything really above 220 I think is good. Enough accuracy to be consistently landing his debuffs. And then a little bit of damage has been added into the build as is possible. On the mastery side, Fearsome Presence and Evil Eye. Those are the important aspects. If we move on to Elhain, again, Fearsome Presence and Evil Eye. And if we look at the artifact set, another stun set, this time with Perception. Reason being, although Elhain does not have any debuffs, I do want a reasonable chance at landing the Evil Eye TM drop. So I haven't focused on accuracy here, but I've tried to give enough that there's a reasonable chance that Elhain will land that Evil Eye. Again, good speed and a bit of damage into the build. Greybeard, above 200 speed, enough accuracy to be landing the debuffs, and then a bit of damage added into the build afterwards. In terms of masteries, again, Fearsome Presence and Evil Eye. You can see there's a real consistent trend going on here. Dablist doesn't have masteries of any note, is 5-star, 50, 200 speed, enough accuracy to be landing the abilities, so really just anything above 200. I'd prefer this to be around 225, 230 just to be a bit safer, but this is leftover gear and it's got the job done, so I won't be reinvesting. Executioner again, 200 speed, enough accuracy to land the abilities. Currently no masteries, but I would 100% be going down to Fearsome Presence. As and when I get Executioner to 6-star, that is the path I will be going. And there it is. That is my guide to beating Secret Room 12. Magic Rare Champions only. I hope it's been helpful. Please like and subscribe, and leave any feedback or any questions, and I'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching.